The moment I see his name on the clinic door, my heart stops. Dr. Marcus Chen. My Marcus, the same Marcus I left 3 years ago without a single word, disappearing like smoke because I couldn't handle what we were becoming. Now here I am, clutching my chest as another wave of pain shoots through my ribs, and fate has decided to play the cruelest joke of all. I stand frozen in the hallway, patients walking around me like I'm a statue. The brass nameplate gleams under the fluorescent lights, mocking me with its professional formality. Dr. Marcus Chen, internal medicine, not the Marcus who used to make pancakes at 2 a.m. when I couldn't sleep, not the Marcus who would hold me through panic attacks and whisper that everything would be okay. This is Dr. Chen, a stranger wearing my ex-lover's name. My chest tightens again, that familiar stabbing pain that brought me here in the first place. For weeks I've been telling myself it's stress, maybe heartburn from too much coffee and not enough real food. But deep down in the part of my soul that still recognizes his scent from 3 floors away, I know exactly what's wrong with me. I just never thought I'd have to face the cure. Next patient, please. His voice cuts through the waiting room and I freeze. That same deep tone that used to whisper my name in the dark, now professional and distant. I want to run, but my body won't let me. The mysterious illness that's been eating at me for weeks has left me weak, desperate enough to see any doctor. I just never imagined it would be him. A nurse appears beside me, clipboard in hand, smile practiced and warm. Mr. Kim, Dr. Chen is ready for you now. Mr. Kim, not Kai, not baby, not any of the dozen pet names he used to call me when we were tangled up in sheets that smelled like both of us. Just Mr. Kim, like I'm nobody special, like I didn't once know every inch of his body better than my own. The walk to his office feels like a death march. Each step echoes in the sterile hallway, and I catch glimpses of him through the partially open door. He's bent over paperwork, his dark hair falling into his eyes the way it always did when he was concentrating. But there's something different about the set of his shoulders, something more confident, more settled. The nervous grad student energy has been replaced by the assured presence of a man who knows exactly who he is. When I step into his office, Marcus looks up from his clipboard and his pen clatters to the desk. For 5 seconds we just stare at each other. His dark eyes are exactly the same, but there's something harder there now, something that wasn't there before I broke his heart. The silence stretches between us, heavy with 3 years of unspoken words, and the weight of everything I destroyed when I left. Kai, he says, and my name sounds like a wound on his lips. There's recognition there and pain and something that might be anger buried so deep he probably doesn't even know it exists. Hello, Marcus. My voice comes out smaller than I intended, like I'm shrinking under his gaze. He's wearing a white coat now, his hair perfectly styled, more confident than the grad student I left behind. But his scent hits me like a truck, that familiar cedar and rain smell that used to make me feel safe. Now it just makes me want to cry, because it's exactly the same and I'm the one who walked away from it. You can call me Dr. Chen, he says coldly, standing up. He's taller now, broader. The boy I loved has grown into a man I don't recognize, and the realization hits me like a physical blow. I missed it. I missed watching him become this person, missed being part of his journey from uncertain student to confident doctor. What seems to be the problem? His tone is clinical, professional, like he's never seen me naked, never held me while I cried, never whispered promises about forever against my skin. I explain the symptoms, the chest pain that feels like someone's squeezing my heart in a fist, the exhaustion that makes getting out of bed feel impossible, the way food tastes like ash in my mouth. He listens with clinical detachment, taking notes, asking follow-up questions like I'm just another patient. But I catch the way his jaw tightens when I mention I've been living alone, the slight pause when I roll up my sleeve for blood work. His hands shake slightly as he wraps the blood pressure cuff around my arm. It's the only sign that I affect him at all, that seeing me again isn't as easy as he's pretending. The cuff tightens and I focus on his fingers against my skin, trying not to remember how those same hands used to trace patterns on my back until I fell asleep. Blood pressure's elevated, he murmurs, making notes. Heart rate too fast. He moves to examine my lymph nodes, his touch professional but gentle. Any family history of cardiac issues? None that I know of, I manage, trying to ignore the way my skin burns where he touches me. My parents are both healthy. And how long have you been experiencing these symptoms? He's back behind his desk now, creating distance between us. About 6 weeks, I lie. It's been closer to 3 months, but I can't admit that the symptoms started around the anniversary of the day I left him. Can't admit that my body has been slowly falling apart in sync with my emotional state. Marcus writes something else, then looks up at me with those dark eyes that used to see right through every wall I tried to build. We'll need to run some tests, he says, his voice carefully controlled. The symptoms you're describing could be several things: heart problems, stress-related illness, or… He trails off, and I see something flicker in his expression. Or what? I press, even though part of me doesn't want to know the answer. He meets my eyes for the first time since I sat down. Really looks at me, and I feel exposed under his gaze. Like he can see every sleepless night, every meal I've skipped, every moment I've spent missing him so badly it felt like dying. When's the last time you had a proper heat, Kai? The question hits me like a slap. I haven't had a proper heat in over 2 years. Not since I left him. My body has been slowly shutting down without an alpha's touch, without his touch specifically. But I can't tell him that. I can't admit that leaving him might be literally killing me. That's not relevant. I stammer, heat flooding my cheeks. Everything is relevant when you're my patient. His voice is ice cold now, but his hands are shaking slightly as he writes on his clipboard. I'm scheduling you for a full workup. Blood tests, scans, the works. We're going to figure out what's wrong with you. The word patient cuts through me like a blade. Is that all I am to him now? Just another case to solve. Another problem to fix with his newfound medical expertise? As he hands me the lab orders, our fingers brush for just a moment. The contact burns, sends electricity shooting up my arm, and I see his pupils dilate slightly. Even after 3 years, even through his professional mask, the bond between us is still there, raw and bleeding and dangerous as ever. Kai, he says as I'm about to leave, his voice softer now, more like the Marcus I remember. Why didn't you just tell me you were sick? I turn to face him, memorizing the way he looks in this sterile white room that smells nothing like the tiny apartment we used to share. The apartment that probably still smells like my tears if anyone bothered to look for them. Because you're the last person I have the right to ask for help. I tell him, and the truth of it sits heavy between us. His face shutters closed again, professional mask sliding back into place. But I catch the flash of hurt in his eyes, quickly hidden but unmistakably there. The lab opens at 7 tomorrow, he says, holding out the paperwork. Get these done as soon as possible. The sooner we know what we're dealing with, the sooner we can fix it. Fix it. Like I'm something broken that can be repaired with the right prescription, the right treatment plan. If only he knew that what's broken in me can't be fixed by anyone but him. A week later, I'm back in Marcus's office with test results that apparently make him frown and flip through pages like he's solving a puzzle. The silence stretches between us, heavy with 3 years of unspoken words and the clinical smell of antiseptic that can't quite mask his scent. I watch him read, noting the way his eyebrows furrow when he's concentrating, the slight purse of his lips when something concerns him. Some things never change, even when everything else has been turned upside down. The office feels different this time, more oppressive. Maybe it's because I know what's coming. Or maybe it's because sitting here waiting for him to tell me how sick I am feels like the ultimate cosmic joke. The man I left to save myself might be the only one who can save me now. So, I say, trying to break the tension with sarcasm. Am I dying, Doc? Because honestly, the suspense is worse than whatever's wrong with me. Marcus looks up, and for a split second, I see the old him, the one who used to laugh at my terrible jokes and pull me close when I got anxious. The one who would roll his eyes at my dramatic declarations and kiss me until I forgot what I was being dramatic about. But the moment passes and he's all professional again. You're not dying, but you're not exactly healthy either, he says, which is possibly the least reassuring thing a doctor can tell someone. He slides the lab results across his desk, pointing to numbers that mean nothing to me but apparently mean everything to him. The papers are covered in medical terminology and reference ranges, all of it looking like a foreign language designed to make patients feel helpless. Your hormone levels are completely out of balance, he explains, his finger tracing across various highlighted sections. Your cortisol is through the roof. which explains the insomnia and anxiety. Your thyroid function is borderline, which accounts for the fatigue and weight loss. I lean forward, studying the papers like I have any idea what I'm looking at. Really, I'm just trying to get closer to his scents, to breathe in that familiar cedar and rain smell that my body craves like an addiction. Your stress markers are through the roof, he continues, flipping to another page. And your immune system is, he pauses, choosing his words carefully. Let's just say it's not functioning optimally. In layman's terms, please. I lean back in the uncomfortable chair, watching the way his eyebrows furrow when he's thinking hard. I failed biology. Remember? You used to help me study. The mention of our shared past hangs in the air between us. I watch his jaw tighten slightly, see the way his fingers grip his pen a little harder. He remembers those study sessions as clearly as I do, the way they always ended with textbooks scattered on the floor and his hands in my hair. Your body is essentially rejecting being an unmated omega, Marcus says bluntly, his clinical mask firmly in place. The longer you go without proper bonding, the more your system starts to shut down. It's called omega deterioration syndrome, and if left untreated, it can be fatal. The words hit me like a physical blow. I suspected something like this, had done enough late-night internet research to recognize the symptoms, but hearing it confirmed makes my chest tight with panic. ODS, the thing every unmated omega fears, the slow descent into physical and mental breakdown that comes from denying our basic nature. So what's the treatment? I ask, trying to keep my voice steady. Pills? Therapy? A nice vacation somewhere warm? I'm joking, but we both know there's only one real treatment for ODS. We both know exactly what my body needs. And he's sitting right across from me wearing a white coat and trying to pretend he doesn't remember how perfectly we fit together. Bonding, he says quietly, not meeting my eyes. You need an alpha, Kai. A permanent one. The air in the room shifts, becomes charged with electricity. The word bonding sits between us like a loaded gun, and I can smell the way his scent changes, becomes deeper, more alpha. More like the Marcus who used to hold me down and make me submit until the world made sense again. Any alpha? I ask, hating how my voice shakes. We both know the answer, but I need to hear him say it. Marcus's jaw clenches, and he finally looks at me directly. Theoretically, yes. But he stops himself, shaking his head like he's trying to clear away thoughts that have no place in this sterile medical environment. But what? I press. But realistically, ODS is often mate-specific, he says, his voice carefully clinical. Your body has bonded to a particular alpha's pheromone signature. Attempting to bond with someone else could make the condition worse. The unspoken truth hangs in the air. My body bonded to him. Only him. 3 years of separation haven't changed that fundamental biological reality. Let me refer you to Dr. Rodriguez, Marcus says abruptly, reaching for his prescription pad. She specializes in omega health issues. She'll be better equipped to help you navigate your options. No. The word comes out sharper than I intended. You're my doctor now. You don't get to pass me off to someone else just because this is complicated. It's not complicated, Kai. It's impossible. He stands up abruptly, running his hands through his hair in a gesture so familiar it makes my chest ache. Do you have any idea what it's like, sitting here smelling your distress and knowing I can't do anything about it? His professional mask is cracking, revealing glimpses of the man underneath. The man who used to sense my moods from across a room, who would drop everything when my scent spiked with anxiety or fear. Knowing that you need exactly what I used to give you, he continues, his voice getting rougher, but you chose to leave instead of fighting for us. I didn't choose anything. The words explode out of me, 3 years of suppressed guilt and regret pouring out. I was scared, Marcus. I was 22 and terrified of how much I needed you. That's not a choice. That's survival instinct. Survival instinct? He laughs bitterly. Look how well that worked out for you. The cruelty in his voice stings, but I can see the hurt underneath it. The boy who used to promise he'd never let anything hurt me has grown into a man who's learned to hurt back. I was drowning, I whisper, trying to make him understand. I loved you so much I was losing myself. I didn't know who Kai was without Marcus. I was afraid that if I stayed, there wouldn't be anything left of me. And now, he asks, stepping closer to my chair, What's your survival instinct telling you now? I look up at him and the clinical distance between us crumbles. He smells like safety and home and everything I convinced myself I didn't deserve. My body is screaming at me to reach for him, to bury my face in his neck and beg him to take me back, to let him fix what's broken in me with his hands and his mouth and his claim. Instead, I stand up and grab my purse. My survival instinct is telling me to find another doctor. It's a lie and we both know it. My survival instinct is telling me to strip naked right here in his office and present for him like the desperate, broken omega I am. But I can't do that. Not when he's looking at me like I'm a problem to be solved rather than someone he once loved. I make it to the door before his voice stops me. Kai, wait. When I turn around, he's holding a business card but his hand is trembling slightly. The sight of that tremor gives me hope, proof that I still affect him. That seeing me again isn't as easy as he's pretending. This is my personal number, he says, and the words hang between us loaded with implications. If the symptoms get worse, if you need anything, call me. Day or night. I take the card, and our fingers touch again. This time, neither of us pulls away immediately. The contact burns, sends heat racing through my veins, and I see his pupils dilate in response. Even after 3 years of separation, our bodies remember each other. Why? I whisper. He looks at me for a long moment and I see the war playing out in his expression. Professional obligation warring with personal history, medical ethics fighting against biological instinct. Because, he says, his voice rough with emotion, some bonds don't break even when we want them to. 3 days after our last appointment, I'm at Marcus's clinic again, but this time it's not planned. I'd collapsed at work, my manager panicking when she couldn't wake me up for several minutes. The paramedic said my blood pressure had dropped dangerously low, my heart rate erratic, my body temperature fluctuating wildly. Classic signs of an ODS episode, though they were too polite to say it directly. Now I'm sitting in the examination room at 9 p.m. waiting for him to finish with another emergency case, my body still shaking from whatever episode I just had. The fluorescent lights are too bright, making everything feel harsh and clinical. I pull my jacket tighter around myself, trying to ward off the chill that seems to come from inside my bones. When Marcus finally walks in, he looks exhausted. His usually perfect hair is messy, his tie loosened, and there are dark circles under his eyes like he hasn't slept in days. But the moment he sees me on the examination table, his fatigue disappears, replaced by sharp concern that he can't quite hide behind his professional mask. What happened? He asks, immediately moving to check my pulse. His fingers are warm against my wrist, and I have to fight the urge to lean into his touch. I don't know, I lie. Because the truth is too complicated. The truth is that I've been getting worse every day since our last appointment. That seeing him again has awakened something in my body that refuses to go back to sleep. 1 minute I was fine. The next I was waking up on the office floor with paramedics asking me questions. I try to sound casual, but my voice betrays how scared I actually am. Collapsing at work, in front of my colleagues, having paramedics called, it's the kind of thing that gets people talking, that makes them whisper about omega problems and unstable biology. His hands are gentle as he examines me, checking my lymph nodes, listening to my heart, taking my temperature, but I can feel the tension radiating from his body, can smell how his scent shifts when he's worried. It's the same way he used to smell during my panic attacks, when he'd hold me and whisper reassurances until I could breathe again. Your pulse is erratic, he murmurs, making notes on his tablet. When did you last eat? Sleep? Have you been taking the supplements I prescribe? The questions come rapid fire, each one hitting a nerve because I know he already knows the answers. He can probably smell the lie building in my scent before I even open my mouth. I've been taking them, I say anyway, because admitting the truth feels like admitting defeat. The truth is, I threw the supplements away the day he gave them to me, too proud to accept help from someone I'd hurt so badly. Too afraid that taking them would be admitting how much I need him, how desperately my body craves what only he can provide. Marcus stops what he's doing and looks directly at me, his dark eyes seeing right through my carefully constructed facade. Kai, I can smell the lie on you. Your scent changes when you're not being honest. Remember? Heat floods my cheeks. Of course he remembers. Marcus always could read me like a book. could tell my mood from across a room just by the subtle shifts in my scent. It's part of what made our bond so strong and part of what terrified me into running. Being known so completely by another person felt like exposure, like vulnerability I wasn't ready for. Fine, I snap, embarrassed at being caught. I didn't take them. I don't want your pity supplements. Pity? His voice goes dangerously quiet, the same tone he used to use when I pushed him too far. You think this is pity? Before I can answer, before I can explain that I don't know what to call the complicated mess of emotions between us, the examination room door opens. Dr. Sarah Martinez walks in and the bottom drops out of my world. I've never seen her before, but I know immediately who she is, from the way she looks at Marcus, like he's the most fascinating thing in the world, like he belongs to her in ways that matter. She's beautiful in that polished, professional way. Her white coat perfectly fitted, her smile warm and confident. Everything I'm not. Everything I never learned how to be. Marcus, honey, are you almost done? Our reservation is in 20 minutes. Her voice is melodic, cultured, the kind of voice that commands attention and respect. I know you said this was urgent, but the restaurant won't hold our table much longer. The word honey hits me like a physical blow. Marcus has moved on. Of course he has. It's been 3 years, and I'm the one who left. I'm the one who walked away from what we had without explanation, without giving him a chance to fight for us. But seeing proof of it, smelling another woman's scent mixed with his, makes my chest feel like it's caving in. Sarah, this is Kai, the patient I was telling you about. Marcus's voice is carefully neutral, but I catch the slight hesitation, the way he can't quite meet my eyes when he says my name. Oh, her eyes widen with recognition. And then something else, something that looks almost like pity mixed with curiosity. You're the one with ODS. Marcus has been so worried about your case. The clinical terminology stings. The one with ODS. Like I'm defined by my illness, by the way my body is betraying me, like I'm not a person with a history, with feelings, with a heart that's currently being shredded by the sight of them together. Has he? I look at Marcus, who's suddenly very interested in my chart. How nice to be discussed over dinner. The sarcasm in my voice is sharp enough to cut, but I can't seem to stop myself. Seeing them together, seeing how comfortable she is with him, how easily she calls him honey, it's awakening something ugly and possessive in me that I thought I'd bury. It's not like that, Marcus starts. But Sarah interrupts with a laugh that sounds like wind chimes. Actually, it is a little like that, she says with fond amusement. Marcus is passionate about his work. Sometimes I think he cares more about his patients than he does about me. The casual way she says it, like she's used to competing with his job for attention, like she's secure enough in their relationship to joke about it, makes me want to disappear. This is what Marcus deserves. Someone who understands his dedication, who supports his career instead of running from it. Actually, I should probably examine you too, get a second opinion. Sarah continues, moving closer to the examination table. Marcus is a wonderful doctor, but sometimes when we're too close to a case, we miss things. Her smile is kind, but there's steel underneath it. She knows exactly who I am and what I mean to him, can probably smell the history between us like a tangible thing. This is her territory and she's marking it with professional courtesy that doesn't quite hide the warning. No, the word comes out harsher than I intended. I don't want another doctor. I stop myself before I can finish the sentence. I want you, I want us. I want to go back 3 years and choose differently. Marcus looks up from my chart, his dark eyes unreadable. What do you want, Kai? The question hangs in the air between us, loaded with 3 years of regret and longing. Sarah is watching us both, her expression growing more concerned by the second. She's not stupid, she can sense the tension crackling between Marcus and me, can probably smell how my scent spikes every time he gets close. I want to go home, I finally say, sliding off the examination table on unsteady legs. I'm fine, it was just a panic attack or something. You are not fine, Marcus says firmly, stepping between me and the door. You collapsed, Kai. Your body is shutting down and you're too stubborn to accept help. Help? I laugh bitterly, the sound harsh in the sterile room. Is that what you call it? Playing doctor with your ex while your girlfriend watches? Sarah's intake of breath is sharp, and Marcus's face goes white. I've crossed a line, said something that can't be taken back, but I can't seem to stop myself. The pain in my chest is too much. The sight of him with someone else too overwhelming. Tell me, Dr. Chen. I continue, his professional title feeling like poison on my tongue. Do you discuss all your patients' personal lives over romantic dinners? Is my medical condition good dinner conversation? That's enough. His voice is ice cold now, professional mask firmly back in place. If you won't let me help you medically, then there's nothing more I can do. He turns to Sarah, who's standing frozen by the door, clearly uncomfortable with the emotional minefield she's walked into. Sarah, would you mind scheduling Mr. Kim with Dr. Rodriguez? I think it's best if he sees someone else from now on. The dismissal cuts deeper than I expected. After everything, after the personal phone number and the promises that some bonds don't break, he's giving up on me. Again. Or maybe I'm the one giving up, pushing him away before he can reject me properly. Perfect, I say, grabbing my jacket with hands that shake slightly. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. As I reach the door, Marcus's voice stops me one more time. For what it's worth, Kai, Sarah and I are just colleagues. But even if we weren't, you lost the right to be jealous the day you disappeared without a word. I don't turn around. I can't let him see how completely those words have destroyed me, how they've confirmed every fear I've carried for 3 years. That I hurt him too badly to be forgiven. That I waited too long to come back. That some mistakes are too big to fix, no matter how much you want to. I walk out of his clinic and into the night, leaving behind the man I never stopped loving and the life I was too scared to fight for. The last place I expected to be at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday is trapped in a hospital elevator with Marcus Chen. But apparently the universe has a sick sense of humor. The power went out 20 minutes ago during a massive thunderstorm, and now we're stuck between the 7th and 8th floors with nothing but emergency lighting and 3 years of unresolved tension. I wasn't supposed to be here at all. After our disastrous encounter with Sarah 3 days ago, I'd made a promise to myself to stay away from Marcus's hospital entirely. But when my neighbor Miss Peterson collapsed in the hallway clutching her chest, I couldn't exactly let her take a cab to a different emergency room just to avoid my ex-boyfriend. So here I am, having spent 4 hours in the waiting room while she underwent tests, only to run into Marcus as I was finally leaving. The backup generator should kick in soon, Marcus says. But he doesn't sound convinced. He's been trying his phone for the past 10 minutes, but there's no signal in the metal box we're trapped in. The storm outside is getting worse, lightning illuminating the small emergency window every few seconds, followed by thunder that makes the elevator shake slightly. I'm sitting on the floor in the corner trying to control my breathing. Enclosed spaces have never been my favorite, and being stuck with him is making my anxiety spike in ways I can't hide. My scent must be broadcasting my panic, because Marcus keeps glancing at me with concern that he can't quite suppress behind his professional mask. The emergency lighting casts strange shadows, making his face look different, more like the Marcus I remember from late nights when we'd stay up talking until dawn. But this Marcus is wearing expensive clothes and a watch that probably costs more than my monthly rent. This Marcus has built a life without me, become successful and confident in ways that the uncertain graduate student I left behind never was. Hey, he says softly, abandoning his phone and crouching down beside me. Look at me, Kai. I force myself to meet his eyes and immediately feel some of the panic ease. His presence has always had that effect on me, even when I don't want it to. Even when seeing him reminds me of everything I threw away. Breathe with me, okay? In for 4, hold for 4, out for 4. His voice is gentle, the same tone he used to use when I'd have panic attacks during grad school. Back when organic chemistry felt like the end of the world and he'd hold me on his tiny dorm room bed until I could breathe again. That's it, just focus on my voice. We breathe together in silence for several minutes, and gradually my heart rate slows down. But being this close to him is its own kind of torture. I can smell his scent, that familiar cedar and rain that makes my omega instincts purr with contentment. My body wants to curl up against him, wants to seek comfort in his arms like I used to. It doesn't care about professional boundaries or 3 years of separation or the fact that I'm the one who broke us. It just remembers safety, remembers home. Better? He asks, and I nod, not trusting my voice. Marcus settles down on the floor across from me, far enough away to be respectful but close enough that his scent wraps around me like a blanket. He looks exhausted, I realize. There are dark circles under his eyes, and his usually perfect hair is messed up like he's been running his hands through it. So, he says, trying to lighten the mood, "This is awkward. Do you think?" I can't help but smile a little, despite everything. Though I guess it could be worse. We could be stuck with smooth jazz playing, or that guy from the third floor who always smells like fish, Marcus adds, and I actually laugh. For a moment it almost feels like old times. Like we're just Marcus and Kai again. Not doctor and patient. Not ex-lovers with a mountain of hurt between us. Like we're the same two people who used to make each other laugh until our stomachs hurt. Who could talk for hours about nothing and everything. But then the moment passes and reality crashes back in. The silence stretches between us, heavy with everything we haven't said, everything we've been too careful or too proud or too scared to address. "Marcus," I start, then stop. There are so many things I want to say, so many apologies I owe him, but I don't know where to begin. How do you apologize for disappearing? How do you explain 3 years of silence? "I know," he says quietly, like he can read my thoughts. "Me too." We sit in silence for a while, listening to the rain pound against the building. The storm outside seems to be getting worse, and I wonder if we're going to be stuck here all night. The thought should terrify me, but instead I feel something that might be relief. Here, in this small space with emergency lighting and no way to escape, we can't hide behind professional boundaries or careful politeness. "Can I ask you something?" Marcus says finally. "And will you actually give me an honest answer this time?" I nod, even though my stomach clenches with anxiety. Honesty has never been my strong suit, especially when it comes to the things that hurt most. "Why did you really leave?" His voice is careful, like he's afraid of the answer. "And don't say it was because you were scared. I know you were scared. We both were. But people work through fear together, Kai. They don't just disappear." I close my eyes, remembering that last night we spent together. The way he'd held me after we'd made love. His arms tight around me like he was afraid I might disappear. The way he'd whispered about the future like we were going to have one. Talked about getting married after graduation. About finding jobs in the same city, about the apartment we'd get together with a real kitchen and a garden. The way I'd lain awake all night, panic clawing at my chest because I needed him so much it felt like drowning. Because I couldn't imagine a future without him. Couldn't even imagine a day without him. And that kind of dependence felt like dying. "Do you remember what you said that night?" I ask instead of answering. "Right before I left?" Marcus is quiet for a long moment, thinking. I can see him trying to remember. See the pain that crosses his face as that night comes back to him. "I said a lot of things that night. You said you couldn't imagine your life without me. That you'd never let me go." My voice cracks slightly, and I have to stop and breathe before I can continue. "And I realized that I couldn't imagine my life without you either. That I'd already lost myself completely in you. That's not a bad thing, Kai. Isn't it?" I open my eyes and look at him. Really look at him. I was 22, Marcus. I'd never been with anyone else. Never lived on my own. Never made a single decision without thinking about how it would affect you. I didn't know who I was outside of being your omega. Marcus is quiet for a long time, processing what I've said. I can see the hurt in his eyes. The way my words land like physical blows. But there's understanding there too. Finally, after 3 years. "So you left to find yourself," he says, his voice rough with emotion. "I left because I was drowning in how much I loved you," I correct. "And I thought if I could just get some space, some time to figure out who I was, maybe I could come back and love you in a healthier way. But you never came back." "No," I whisper. "I never came back." The elevator shudders slightly, and for a moment we both freeze, hoping the power is returning. But nothing happens, and we're still trapped in our metal box with nothing but emergency lighting and the weight of 3 years of regret. "Kai," Marcus says, and something in his tone makes me look at him. His eyes are bright in the dim light, intense in a way that makes my breath catch. "Can I tell you something?" I nod. "I've thought about you every single day for 3 years. Every morning when I wake up. Every night before I fall asleep. I've replayed that last night 1,000 times, wondering what I could have said or done differently to make you stay." My heart clenches painfully. Marcus, let me finish. He holds up a hand, and I can see it's shaking slightly. I know you needed space. I know you needed to figure out who you were outside of us. But God, Kai, I would have given you all the space in the world if you'd just asked. We could have figured it out together. I didn't know how to ask. I admit, my voice barely audible. I didn't know how to say I love you too much and it's killing me without sounding crazy. You wouldn't have sounded crazy. He's looking at me with such intensity that I have to fight the urge to look away. You would have sounded human. The elevator shudders again, and this time the lights flicker. We're both holding our breath. But after a moment, everything settles back into emergency lighting. The storm outside is getting worse, and I wonder if anyone even knows we're stuck in here. Marcus, I say, my voice barely above a whisper. What if I told you that leaving you was the biggest mistake of my life? What if I told you that I've been slowly dying without you? Literally dying, and seeing you again is the first time in 3 years that I've felt alive. His breath catches and I see his pupils dilate in the dim light. What if I told you that I've never stopped loving you? That every woman I've tried to date, every attempt I've made to move on, has been a failure because no one else is you. We're staring at each other across the small space, the air between us crackling with electricity. My omega instincts are screaming at me to go to him, to close the distance and let him take away all the pain and loneliness I've been carrying. Kai, he whispers, and my name sounds like a prayer on his lips. I start to move toward him, my body acting on instinct rather than logic. But just as I'm about to reach him, the elevator lurches violently, throwing me off balance. Marcus catches me, pulling me against his chest, and for a moment we're pressed together, breathing hard, his arms tight around me. His sense surrounds me stronger than it's been in 3 years, and I feel my body respond in ways I'd forgotten were possible. The constant ache in my chest eases for the first time in months, and I can feel myself melting against him like I'm coming home. Then the lights come back on and the elevator starts moving again. We spring apart like we've been burned, both of us breathing hard and staring at each other with wide eyes. The moment is broken, but I can still feel the warmth of his body against mine, still smell his scent on my skin. The doors open on the 8th floor and a maintenance worker is waiting for us with a concerned expression. You folks okay? Power's been out for about an hour. We're fine, Marcus says, but his voice is rough. Just fine. As we step out of the elevator, I turn to look at him one more time. Marcus, we should forget this happened, he says quickly, not meeting my eyes. Professional boundaries, remember? But as I walk away, I catch him watching me in the reflection of the elevator doors. And I know that neither of us is going to forget anything about tonight. 2 weeks after the elevator incident, Marcus calls me at 11 p.m. on a Friday night. I'm lying in bed, staring at the ceiling and trying not to think about the way he'd held me when I thought we were going to fall. My phone buzzes, and when I see his name on the screen, my heart nearly stops. I've been getting worse since that night. Not just physically though, my body is definitely deteriorating faster now that it's had a taste of what it's been craving. But emotionally, mentally, I'm falling apart in ways I didn't know were possible. Being so close to Marcus, feeling his arms around me even for those few seconds, has awakened something in me that refuses to go back to sleep. Hello? I answer, trying to sound casual even though my pulse is racing. Kai, it's Marcus. I'm sorry to call so late, but... He pauses, and I can hear traffic in the background. The distant sound of rain on a windshield. Are you okay? I've been getting alerts from your health monitoring app all week. Right. The app he'd insisted I download so he could track my symptoms remotely. I'd forgotten about it, honestly too distracted by everything else to pay attention to my deteriorating condition. Too focused on replaying that moment in the elevator over and over, remembering the way his scent had wrapped around me like a promise. I'm fine. I lie. Even though I've barely been able to keep food down for 3 days. Even though I've been having episodes where my vision goes dark and my heart rate spikes so high I'm afraid I'm having a heart attack. No, you're not. His voice is sharp with concern, and I can hear the worry he's trying to hide. Your heart rate has been erratic. Your sleep patterns are all over the place. And according to this, you haven't been eating enough to keep a bird alive. I close my eyes, embarrassed that he knows how badly I'm doing. The app tracks everything: sleep, heart rate, activity levels, even estimated caloric intake based on movement patterns. It's like having a medical professional watching my every move, which I suppose is exactly what it is. Are you calling as my doctor or as... I trail off, not sure how to finish that sentence. What are we to each other now? Ex-lovers? Former best friends? A doctor and his problematic patient who can't seem to get better. I'm calling because I'm worried about you, he says quietly, and something in his tone makes my chest tight. Can I come over? Every rational part of my brain is screaming that this is a bad idea. Having Marcus in my apartment, in my space where I've spent 3 years missing him, is asking for trouble. The elevator was one thing. That was an accident. A moment of forced proximity that neither of us could control. But inviting him over, letting him into the place where I sleep and dream about him, feels like crossing a line I can't uncross. But the part of me that's been slowly dying without him, the part that lit up like a Christmas tree when he held me in that elevator, overrides logic entirely. Okay, I whisper, but just as friends. Professional concern only. Of course, he agrees, but something in his tone suggests we both know that's not entirely true. 20 minutes later, he's at my door with a bag from the 24-hour pharmacy, and an expression of barely contained worry. He's changed out of his work clothes into jeans and a sweater, looking more like the Marcus I used to know and less like Dr. Chen, who keeps professional distance between us. The casual clothes make him look younger, more approachable, more like the man who used to make pancakes at 2 a.m. when I couldn't sleep. Jesus, Kai, he breathes when he sees me. When's the last time you showered? Eaten? Slept for more than 2 hours at a time? I know I look terrible. I've been avoiding mirrors for days, unable to face the dark circles under my eyes, the way my clothes hang loose on my shrinking frame. But seeing myself reflected in his expression, seeing the shock and concern he can't hide, makes it real in a way that feels devastating. Hello to you too, I mutter, but I let him into my apartment. He looks around as he enters, taking in the space I've lived in for 3 years without him. It's small but clean, decorated in colors that remind me of our old place together. Warm browns and deep blues. Plants by the windows that I somehow managed to keep alive. His eyes linger on the bookshelf where I've kept all the books we read together in college. On the kitchen counter where there's a coffee mug he bought me still sitting unused. Nice place, he says, but his voice is distracted. He's already setting the pharmacy bag on my kitchen counter and pulling out supplies, IV bags, tubing, medical tape. I'm going to give you some fluids and nutrients intravenously. You're severely dehydrated, and your body needs more help than supplements can provide right now. You're going to turn my kitchen into a hospital room? I ask, but I don't protest as he efficiently sets up an IV stand using my coat rack. There's something mesmerizing about watching him work, seeing the competent professional he's become overlaid with memories of the uncertain student who used to ask me to quiz him for exams. If that's what it takes. He's all business now, laying out sterile equipment with practiced precision. Sit down on the couch. This will take a couple of hours. I settle onto my couch, watching him work. There's something soothing about seeing him in my space, taking care of me the way he used to when I'd get sick during college. But there's also something heartbreaking about it. The clinical distance he's maintaining even while doing something so intimate. This might sting a little, he warns, sliding the IV needle into my arm with gentle precision. His fingers are warm against my skin, and I have to bite my lip to keep from reacting to his touch. There. How do you feel? Like I'm being kept alive by a bag of sugar water. I joke weakly. That's not far from the truth. He settles into the chair across from me, close enough to monitor the IV but far enough away to maintain professional distance. But I can see the way his eyes keep drifting to my face. The way his hands clench and unclench in his lap like he's fighting the urge to reach for me. Kai, you can't keep doing this to yourself, he says, his voice gentle but firm. The self-neglect. The refusing help. You're going to end up in the hospital or worse. Would that be so bad? The words slip out before I can stop them. Marcus goes very still, his eyes snapping to mine with an intensity that makes my breath catch. What did you just say? I close my eyes, suddenly exhausted in a way that has nothing to do with my physical condition. Nothing. Forget I said anything. No. His voice is sharp now and I can hear him moving closer. Look at me, Kai. I open my eyes reluctantly, and the expression on his face nearly breaks my heart. He looks terrified, like I've just confirmed his worst fears. Are you? He swallows hard and I can see his throat work. Are you having thoughts of hurting yourself? Not exactly, I say honestly, because I need him to understand. I'm not suicidal, Marcus. I'm just tired. Tired of feeling like this. Tired of being alone. Tired of missing you so much it physically hurts. The words hang in the air between us, more honest than I've been with anyone in years. Marcus is staring at me with an expression I can't read, his hands clenched in his lap like he's physically restraining himself from reaching for me. You don't get to say things like that, he says quietly, his voice rough with emotion. You don't get to tell me you miss me after 3 years of silence. Why not? It's true, because it's not fair. He stands up abruptly, starting to pace around my small living room like a caged animal. Do you know what it was like, Kai? Waking up and finding you gone? No note, no explanation. No goodbye, just an empty apartment, and the smell of your tears on the pillowcase. My chest tightens with guilt and regret. I remember that morning. Remember packing my things while he was at his early morning lab. Remember crying as I folded clothes and tried to decide what to take and what to leave behind. I'd thought about writing a note 100 times, but what could I say? How do you explain that you're leaving someone because you love them too much? I know I hurt you, I whisper. I know I handled it all wrong. But Marcus, I was drowning. I loved you so much I was losing myself and I didn't know how to fix it without space. So you took 3 years of space, he says bitterly, turning to face me. And now what? Now you're back and you want to pick up where we left off. I don't know what I want. I admit. I just know that being near you again is the first time I've felt human in 3 years. The first time I've wanted to eat, to sleep, to exist. And Marcus stops pacing and looks at me. Really looks at me. Like he's seeing me for the first time. Your scent, he says slowly. It's different tonight. Stronger. He's right. I can feel it, the way my body is responding to his presence. The way my omega instincts are purring with contentment for the first time in years. The IV is helping, but it's more than that. It's him. Being near him is literally healing me, awakening parts of myself that have been dormant since I left. Marcus. I start, but he shakes his head. Don't. Whatever you're about to say, don't. He sits back down, running his hands through his hair in a gesture so familiar it makes my chest ache. This is already complicated enough without declarations or confessions or whatever this is leading to. We sit in silence for a while. The only sound the steady drip of the IV and the rain starting to fall outside. I watch him struggle with whatever he's feeling. See the war between his professional obligations and his personal history playing out on his face. The Marcus I knew was always emotional, always wore his heart on his sleeve. But this Marcus has learned to hide his feelings behind professional masks and clinical detachment. Can I ask you something? I finally say. He nods reluctantly. If I had stayed that night, if I had talked to you instead of running, what would you have said? Marcus is quiet for so long, I think he's not going to answer. When he finally speaks, his voice is barely above a whisper. I would have told you that loving someone completely isn't drowning. It's flying. And I would have asked you to fly with me instead of running away. The words hit me like a physical blow. Beautiful and painful at the same time. I can see it so clearly now. The future we could have had if I'd been brave enough to stay and fight for us instead of running from us. The conversations we could have had. The compromises we could have made. The way we could have grown together instead of apart. And now? I ask. What would you say now? He meets my eyes. And for a moment, I see all the love and pain and longing he's been hiding behind his professional mask. Now I'd say it's too late. Too much has happened. Too much time has passed. Some things can't be fixed. Kai. But even as he says the words, he's looking at me like I'm the only thing in the world that matters. And I know that despite everything, despite the hurt and the years and the professional boundaries, we're still Marcus and Kai. We're still the same two people who fell in love so hard it scared us both. The IV finishes dripping just as dawn starts to break outside my windows. Marcus packs up his equipment efficiently, back to being Dr. Chen instead of the man who just told me about flying together. You should be feeling better by this afternoon, he says, not meeting my eyes. But Kai, this is just a band-aid. You need to make some real changes if you want to get better. What kind of changes? I ask even though I think I already know the answer. You need to bond with an alpha, he says clinically. Soon. The ODS is progressing faster than I initially thought. Without proper bonding, you have maybe a few months before the damage becomes irreversible. He's at the door now, his hand on the handle, and I know that if he leaves like this, we'll go back to pretending we're just doctor and patient. We'll pretend tonight never happened. Pretend he never told me about flying together. Marcus. Wait. I stand up too quickly and sway slightly, still weak from the IV. He's at my side immediately, steadying me with his hands on my arms. We're standing close, too close, and I can see the exact moment he realizes it. His pupils dilate, his breathing quickens, and his scent shifts to something deeper, more alpha. Kai, he whispers. And my name sounds like a warning and a prayer at the same time. I know you said it's too late, I say, looking up at him. But what if it's not? What if some things are worth fighting for even when they seem impossible? For a moment I think he's going to kiss me. I can see the want in his eyes, feel the tension in his body. But then he steps back, putting professional distance between us again. I'll call you tomorrow to check on how you're feeling, he says, his voice carefully controlled. As your doctor. And then he's gone, leaving me standing in my apartment that smells like him, wondering if I've just made everything better or infinitely worse. The call comes at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday. I wake up to my phone buzzing insistently, and when I see Marcus's name on the screen, my heart immediately jumps to my throat. He never calls this late unless something is wrong. Kai? His voice sounds strange, rough and almost panicked. I need you to come to the hospital. Right now. What's wrong? Are you okay? I'm already getting out of bed, pulling on clothes with one hand while holding the phone with the other. Just come. Emergency room entrance. Ask for me. He hangs up without explanation, leaving me terrified and confused. The drive to the hospital takes 20 minutes that feel like hours. My mind races through possibilities. Is he hurt? Is someone else hurt? Why would he call me instead of family or other friends? By the time I screech into the hospital parking lot, I'm prepared for the worst. I find Marcus in an empty conference room near the ER, and the sight of him stops me cold. He's still in his scrubs, but they're wrinkled like he's been wearing them for days. His hair is a mess, his eyes are red-rimmed, and he looks like he hasn't slept in a week. Marcus, what's wrong? I rush to him, instinctively reaching out before catching myself and stopping short. Sit down, he says, his voice hoarse. Please. I perch on the edge of a chair, my heart hammering against my ribs. You're scaring me. What's happening? Marcus starts pacing, running his hands through his hair compulsively. I got a call tonight from Dr. Martinez at Seattle General. They had a patient come in, an omega in the final stages of ODS. He stops and looks at me. 25 years old. Same symptoms you've been having. Same progression rate. My blood turns to ice. Is he okay? She died, Kai. 2 hours ago. Complete organ failure. His voice breaks slightly. She died alone, because she was too proud to ask for help and too scared to trust an alpha enough to bond. The words hit me like a physical blow. I can see exactly why he called me. Why he looks like he's been hit by a truck. He's seeing my future in that unknown woman's death. Marcus, I start, but he holds up a hand. I can't do this anymore, he says, his voice raw with emotion. I can't sit in my office and professionally discuss your treatment while watching you slowly kill yourself. I can't pretend that the only reason I care is because you're my patient. Then don't pretend. The words come out steady, braver than I feel. Tell me the truth. He stops pacing and looks at me, and I see 3 years of carefully controlled emotion cracking open. The truth? The truth is that I never stopped being in love with you. Not for a single day. Not when I was angry. Not when I tried dating other people. Not when I convinced myself I hated you for leaving. My breath catches, but he's not done. The truth is that when I saw your name on my patient roster, my hands shook so hard I couldn't hold my coffee cup. The truth is that I've been going home every night and lying awake thinking about you, about us, about how to save you without crossing every professional line I've ever drawn. He's moved closer now, standing just a few feet away from my chair. I can smell his scent, sharp with distress and something deeper, longing, need. The same desperate want that's been eating at me for 3 years. And the truth is, he continues, his voice dropping to almost a whisper, that watching you deteriorate is killing me. Literally killing me. I can't eat, can't sleep, can't function knowing that you need exactly what I'm dying to give you. But I can't because I'm your doctor and you're my patient and there are rules? Fuck the rules, I interrupts. Standing up so fast the chair scrapes against the floor. Marcus, fuck the rules and the professional boundaries and everything else. That woman who died tonight, I don't want to be her. I don't want to die alone because I was too scared to fight for what I need. What do you need, Kai? He steps closer, close enough that I have to tilt my head back to look at him. Tell me what you need. You, I whisper. I need you. I've always needed you. Leaving didn't change that, it just made me sick with wanting something I thought I couldn't have. For a moment we just stare at each other. The air between us is electric, charged with 3 years of suppressed longing and the weight of everything we've never said. I can see the exact moment Marcus stops fighting it. Stops trying to be professional and distant. His pupils dilate, his scent shifts to pure alpha want, and suddenly he's cupping my face in his hands. If we do this, he says, his thumbs brushing over my cheekbones, there's no going back. I can't be your doctor anymore. I can't pretend this is just medical necessity. I don't want you to pretend, I breathe. I want you to choose me. Choose us. The way I should have chosen us 3 years ago. You broke my heart, he whispers, but his hands are gentle on my face. I know, let me spend the rest of my life making up for it. He searches my eyes for a long moment, looking for doubt or fear or any sign that I might run again. But I'm done running. I'm done being scared of how much I need him. Kai, he says, and then he's kissing me. It's not gentle or careful or professional. It's desperate and hungry and full of 3 years of missing each other. His hands tangle in my hair, pulling me closer, and I melt against him like I'm coming home after the longest journey of my life. When we finally break apart, both breathing hard, I can already feel the change in my body. The constant ache in my chest is easing. The fog that's been clouding my thoughts for months is starting to lift. Even this small contact, this confession is healing me in ways no IV or medication ever could. I love you, I tell him, because I need him to know, need the words to exist in the space between us. I never stopped loving you, Marcus. Not even when I thought I should. I love you too, he says, resting his forehead against mine. God, Kai, I love you so much it's been like walking around with a hole in my chest for 3 years. We hold each other in that sterile conference room, surrounded by the smell of antiseptic and the distant sounds of the hospital. And for the first time since I left him, I feel whole, complete. Like all the broken pieces of myself are finally fitting back together. So what happens now? I ask against his neck, breathing in his scent like it's oxygen. Now, he says, pulling back to look at me, we figure it out together. No more running, no more professional distance, no more pretending we don't belong to each other. Together, I repeat, and the word tastes like a promise. Marcus smiles then, the first real smile I've seen from him since I walked back into his life. Together, always. As he kisses me again, softer this time but no less intense. I know that some bonds really don't break, even when we try to sever them. Some love is strong enough to survive 3 years of separation, professional boundaries, and 2 people too scared to fight for what they need. And sometimes, if we're very lucky, we get a second chance to choose love over fear. Take me home, Marcus, I whisper against his lips. Take me home and never let me go again. Never again, he promises. And I know he means it. I'm never letting you go again.